link out. Hi students, welcome back to week 3 of Around the World Camp Culture Throwback Thursday. Today we're going to be talking about Central and South America and the Spanish language and why people have come to speak Spanish in Central and South America. So the question of the day is why do many, but not all countries in South America and Central America speak Spanish? The first thing we're going to have to do is think back to last week's Throwback Thursday video where we talked about the colonization of Africa and how things really changed in the 54 countries of Africa because European settlers came to colonize Africa. We learned that when Europeans came to take land in Africa and claim it for their own, they created new borders and they brought with them all of the things that they believed in and tried to make people in those African countries believe in those things as well. Something super similar happened in Central and South America too. So before we begin, we first need to understand where Central and South America are, and we're back. I have my globe again this week so that we can look. So for reference, we can remember where we are up here in North America, and we remember that North America is a continent, which is one of the biggest divisions that humans have of land. And you can remember that we are right here in the Bay Area in California. If we go south, we can see Mexico below, and that's where we get to Central and South America. So Central America is the area below Mexico, this really narrow, skinny area between oceans that connects North America and South America. And then South America is this huge continent right here. And we'll remember from last week that we discussed that there are 7 total continents, right? So all of these huge, huge, huge land masses, those are all continents. There are 7 total. There is Africa, which we talked about last week. There's Africa. There's Antarctica, which is bottom and top. You can see because the world is a sphere, it's both on the bottom and the top. There's Asia, which we can see here. There's Australia/Oceania, which is down here. There's Europe, which is next to Asia. And then what we're discussing today, North America, and Mexico is a part of North America, as we discussed at the beginning of our Throwback Thursdays, and South America. Now, I know that we're talking about Central America today. Central America is not its own continent. Central America is a bunch of countries, 7 in total, that connect to North America and South America. It's what you call a region. It's not its own continent. It's not big enough. And it doesn't have enough land in it to be its own continent, but it is its own region with its own culture and its own customs, and language is a huge part of that, and that's what we're talking about today. So these countries in Central America, and we'll get close so that you can see a bunch of Central America. You see Mexico up here. So all of this is Central America and South America down here. These countries in many ways have a shared history, like what we talked about with Africa last week, of colonization. All of the borders that you can see running through, so remember these borders are the white lines. You'll remember we talked about how borders are man-made. So humans come up with where the lines are, and that's why they change. And colonization is one of the main ways that those lines between countries change. Some of you may have heard the saying before. In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. And that's because there was a man from Italy. So Italy is in Europe. Remember, we talked about a lot of these colonizers being from Europe. Here's Europe. So let me find Italy. It's pretty small. Italy is right there. You can see it if it'll focus. This shape right here. So this guy was from Italy. His name is Christopher Columbus in English. It's pronounced differently in different languages. He, along with the government of the country of Spain, so let's find Spain. Spain is right here. You can see Spain. He was in Spain at the time, and he asked for support from the government of Spain to go and find what they called the New World. Now, it definitely wasn't new to the people who are already living there. There are already so many people living there. It's estimated that in South America, there were already 8 million people living there when he left from Spain to look for the New World. So while it was new to him and new to the Spanish government, they hadn't seen it before. This was, 500 years ago. They hadn't seen it before. While it was new to them, it wasn't new to the people who were living there. It was home to the people living there. He set off and he was looking for a quicker way to get to Asia. So Europe is right here. And he was looking for a quicker way. Remember, there were no planes then. There was no flying. You had to go on the ocean. You had to sail places in the ocean. He was trying to get over here, you'll see, to Asia in a quicker route. And you can see there aren't that many paths, right? Like there's not that much ocean that lets you go quickly. So a lot of times they had to go around the bottom, and that's how they would get over here. So and they didn't have a big map like this. They didn't know where everything was. So he set off and he tried to find a different way to get there. And instead of landing in Asia, he set off from Spain. He was like, bye, got a blast. He left from Spain and he went this way and landed in these islands over here in what we now know to be Central America. So he was just like, gotta go, gotta find out what's over there. And he found Central America, what we now call Central America. When he told people what he had found back in Spain, because remember, it was the Spanish government that was like, yeah, we'll pay for you to go. We'll help you go. He told people what he found and all this land the Spanish had never seen before that he found. And they said, well, we want to make this land ours. And so like the colonization that we talked about last week, colonizers from Spain went out to try to get some of that land. So this key word that we're discussing right now is colonize. And please just remember that means to take something for your own. To take land for your own. There were 3 goals of colonization. The 3 goals were gold, glory, and God. So the first goal, gold, was going somewhere to make more money. If you go somewhere else and they make different things, you can produce something from what they made, right? If they have crops, and crops means food that you plant and grow in the ground. They have crops that you can't access where you live. That's a way to make new money and things like that. So the colonizers were setting sail to try to find new ways to make more money. Glory was number 2. They just wanted to be able to say, I found a brand new place, right? That sounds really cool. And again, even though it wasn't new at all to the millions of people who were living there, it was new to everyone they cared about, everyone who they knew at home. And so it sounded really cool to be able to say, I discovered something. And then God, they wanted to go ahead and spread their beliefs across the entire world if they could and say, I believe in this. This is really important to me. You should believe in it too. And they went around as much of the world as possible trying to make sure that people believed what they believed. So to do this, they took the land from people who were already living there. Remember, I told you millions of people already lived in the places that they went. And the people who already lived there, the word for that, for people who were there first, is indigenous. So a group of people who is in a place first, the word for that is indigenous. Eventually, the Spanish, which is people from Spain, were able to conquer a ton of land in Central America and most of the land in South America. They took that from themselves. Other areas that the Spanish did not take over, England took some. England is another country in Europe. France took some. France is another country in Europe. Portugal, another country in Europe, took some. And the Netherlands, also a country in Europe, took some of this land for themselves. So just like we talked about last week, when one country takes over other land, they completely take over. It's expected that the native people or the indigenous people, remember that means the people who were there first, are going to change their systems, are going to change the foods that they eat, they're going to change their religion, and they're going to change their language. And that's how we get to Spanish. Because these folks came over, the colonizers came over, and they set up new governments in these places, people were forced to learn Spanish, because if that is the language that your government uses, that all the signs are in, that everyone with power uses, you're going to have to learn to speak that language too. So, places that a lot of us have family in, like El Salvador, like Guatemala, like Mexico, Venezuela, all of these countries didn't originally speak Spanish, even though all of them have a huge Spanish-speaking population now. Maybe a lot of our own parents or grandparents or tias or tios are from these places, and we all speak Spanish now. Those people in those places didn't originally speak Spanish. And that means you're probably wondering, what languages did they speak? There were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of languages in Central and South America that indigenous people spoke before the Spanish people got there. It's very, very sad. A lot of those languages have been lost. They don't have anyone who remembers how to speak them anymore. They didn't get passed down from generation to generation. So a lot of us speak other languages because our parents speak those languages and we learn them at home from our parents. And that's why we speak two languages. If people stop speaking those languages, then eventually the language just goes away and it dies. And that's really, really sad. And that's what's happened to a lot of these languages, where they're lost. Maybe they exist in books, but there are no people who speak them still. However, there are some of these languages that are still alive and they still have a lot of people speaking them. So there are languages like Mapuche, which is a language native to Chile and Argentina that still exists. And so to end today, we're going to practice saying hello in two different languages that existed in Central and South America before colonization. People still speak these languages today, and it's really, really exciting. The first language we're going to learn to say hello in is Mapudungun, and this is spoken in Chile and Argentina by 260,000 people. So that's still quite a few people in both Chile and Argentina, let's find those on the map, who still speak these languages. So Chile is right here. It's this really long, skinny one on the edge. And then Argentina is right here, right next to Chile. So it makes sense that people from both of these countries would speak these languages because they're right next to each other, and that border wasn't always there. They weren't always two separate places like they are now. So the way we're going to say hello in Mapudungun is Mari Mari. Turn to someone next to you, or if you're at home by yourself, go ahead and repeat Mari Mari. Awesome. You said hello. And the second language we're going to learn to say hello in is Quiche, and that is a language spoken in Guatemala still. It was a language spoken before the Spanish got there, and it still exists in Guatemala by 2 million people. So that's just huge. There are still so many speakers of that. And the way we're going to say hello in Quiche is hacha. So hacha. Can you say that? Hacha? Awesome. Thanks so much, everyone. I hope you have a great day in your classes. Please make sure that you're going to class, and if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments below so that we can make sure that we still get to engage with you for the rest of the summer. We miss having you here. Look out for the TikTok later today of the redesign of the building when you get back to the clubhouse. It's going to be really, really beautiful for you and really exciting. Have a great day. Bye, everyone.